Hey everybody, my name's Ava and I live in my car. Living in my car has opened my eyes to a whole community of people on YouTube who are living in their cars and vans. I really enjoy the content created by other people doing this, and it's really interesting to see how other people approach this lifestyle. However, one thing that has caught my attention lately is videos titled "The Biggest Lies About Van Life, Why I'm Quitting Van Life, and 10 Reasons Van Life Sucks." Although things have been going really well for me living in the car, this did make me wonder, oh, is there something bad about this that I'm not realizing? What do I have in store? And will these reasons apply to me? So in this video, I've compiled 6 common downsides of car and van life, and I'm going to talk about them and discuss whether or not they do apply to my situation. The first common challenge is overnight parking and getting bothered by a cop or worse, some random person walking by your car or van in the night and knocking on the window. I will agree that this is actually the biggest challenge that I face. Although I have not had any trouble yet, I've never received a ticket or a knock or anything for where I've parked at night, but I did notice early on going into this, oh, this is kind of tricky to have to be thinking each night about where I'm going to park and will somebody bother me. And it's one of those things where it's not so much a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you can go for a really long time without getting bothered, but odds are at some point you are going to get the knock. For me, I've dealt with this by strategizing in advance and finding areas and neighborhoods that I think seem like a good bet for parking and car camping. Hopefully this will actually reduce the odds of getting bothered, but it also saves me the stress of each night having to think, oh, where do I want to go now? Because I do think about it in advance and I try to not put too much thought in it on the spot. I still know that I could certainly get bothered, but it's not weighing me down as it hasn't happened yet, and I have a plan, and I know it just comes with the territory of this lifestyle. I did notice that some of the people who were complaining about parking, actually all of them for the videos that I watched, it was people living in vans, and that completely makes sense that that would be harder to find a parking spot. For example, some of the time I will park in residential neighborhoods, and without a doubt, a big van would stand out much more in a neighborhood, and I can definitely see why you'd be at greater risk for being bothered. Having a smaller car, I really do benefit from the stealth factor, and I know that I blend in pretty well wherever I park. The second common challenge people face is space limitations. And this totally makes sense too. Even if you have a pretty big van, if you're traveling, you really want to not be cluttered, and you have to think really carefully about what to have on you. This is not too much of a problem for me because I do keep most of my things stored at my office or at the gym. This works really well. I can swap out clothes or items as needed. However, there are a few times where even if I have a few extra items in the car, it starts to feel really cluttered and I really want to get them out of there. So I do feel that challenge, but it's something that I have a good system for and it's working fine. I would recommend getting a storage unit or something. Even if you travel, it's good to have kind of one place where you can store items. The third challenge is the weather, and I've definitely experienced that. I think I live in a pretty good climate for this. I live in a more northern climate, so for the most part it did cool down enough at night in the summer to be comfortable. However, there were some nights where it didn't cool down too much, and I found myself really paying attention to the weather and hoping that the heat wave would end soon. That said, even on those hotter nights, I did feel myself adapting to it. I was accustomed to living in a house where I would kind of crank the air conditioning at night, but I realized that I could sleep pretty comfortably in a little bit more warmth, especially with a fan and being able to roll my windows down. Of course, this comes at a price of very cold winters, which are not going to be particularly fun, but in terms of regulating the temperature for sleep, it's actually easier in the cold because you can bundle up in a sleeping bag and blankets and stay warm while you're sleeping, just like people do for winter camping. I think it would be harder to be in a really hot southern climate where it's in like the hundreds every single day. For that, I don't know that I could adjust well enough to sleeping in heat like that. I think the best option for living in your car in a hot climate is to have a hybrid or an electric vehicle that you can actually have on during the night and run the air conditioning. The fourth challenge, which makes total sense to me, is the loneliness and isolation of always being on the road and living a nomadic life. I will say that I really don't think this applies to me because I stay in generally the same area. I do make some trips, I do go out to the East Coast to visit family, but I really do feel like I have a home base and I haven't had to give up my friendships or my work social life or my social life in general. I do go to regular activities around town, I see the same people, and my social life is actually unaffected by living in my car. I socialize just as much, if not more, than I did when I had a house. One of the reasons that I gave up my house, though, actually is because when I got the house, I kind of envisioned, oh, I can have people over all the time and that'll be a good use of this, but the way things unfolded, I never had anyone over. I would usually go to their places or meet them out somewhere, so it didn't increase my social life at all to have the house. So it's been unchanged living in the car, and I actually go out and about more because I'm obviously not going to be just chilling in the car most of the time. I've really enjoyed being more mobile and having the opportunity to make a few road trips whenever I feel like it. If you do prefer to travel, that is great. That's an awesome thing to do, but I totally can understand why that would be a challenge for somebody who is traveling solo full-time. The fifth challenge I saw is the realization that expenses still exist even when you don't pay rent and have fewer expenses. This is something that I actually did notice myself. I make a good income, so I know that I'm spending within my means, but something about giving up my house and my rent and my utility bills at first made me feel like I had infinite money. And when I actually added everything up, the rent was only a portion of all my expenses, so you do have to realize that you still may have to have a budget, and if you are traveling, you're going to have more expenses for gas and repairs and things like that. But that said, my lifestyle hasn't changed that much since living in the car, and I still have the same jobs that I had before living in my car. So in my case, I really do only save by doing this. I don't have to find a job that is remote or sacrifice any of my income to live in the car. And the sixth thing I saw is the lack of convenience living in your vehicle. And I can't deny that it's not as convenient to be in a car or a van where you might not have a kitchen or a bathroom or a shower or just regular amenities. And for me, I actually see that as a good thing. It encourages me to think more creatively and be more out and about and take care of things rather than let things slide and be lazy. Additionally, since I stay in roughly the same area, I do know where to go to shower, to use the kitchen, to find the amenities that I might need. I think that could be a little bit more challenging, being on the road and not knowing where you are and having to do a little research to figure out where to go to find the nearest gym or whatever it may be. So in watching these videos, I was pretty relieved to see that these downsides, for the most part, either did not bother me or did not apply to me. And the main difference is that I'm not doing this on the road traveling full time. Truly, my life is pretty much the same as it was before I moved into my car because I'm still in the same area, I still have the same job, I still have the same friends, and I just go to sleep in the car, which I find fun, and it is great to save the money too. Let me know in the comments below if you've faced any challenges with living in your vehicle, and thank you for watching this video. Have a good one. Bye.